Welcome to the first edition of Tattle Time, where I'm going to tattle on myself. So I had this thought earlier around this concept that we've all heard of people becoming very comfortable being uncomfortable and feeling as if the effort that it would take to get out of that situation is not worth the end result or somehow justifying. And my cat's high on catnip, so if you hear crinkling in the background, that's him playing. But justifying staying in a situation longer than necessary or infinitely instead of actually putting in the work that they would need to get out of it. I can recognize it in other people, but what is it about us that we recognize it in ourselves last? So I had this realization earlier tonight that despite my circumstance, which I have been unhappy about for the last year and a half, well, a little less than a year and a half, definitely the past year. And I spent months and months trying to logically think through it and wasted a bunch of time thinking, like, is this a test that I'm supposed to go through and pass? Am I supposed to teach this person something? Are they supposed to teach me something? Am I supposed to get out of it? What's the lesson? Because I at least had the understanding of I don't want to repeat the lesson, so make sure to learn the lesson in the first place. But I wasted a lot of time thinking about it and doing nothing. And it ended up going on a lot longer than it needed to. And this past week, I've been very frustrated because I've finally gotten to the point of realizing that this is just not a healthy situation for me. And no matter what happens, that's not perceivably going to change in the future. And so I just need to go. I need to do what's best for me. I need to get back to a healthier place with myself, with work-life balance, getting back out and living my life as opposed to living my life to meet the needs of another person who won't meet them for themselves. And this past week, I'd been very grumbly about the fact that in this job search that I've been doing that I haven't gotten any nibbles yet. And then it hit me how much more I could be doing. How I am not going after this aggressively as if I really, really want it. I've been saying I want it, but not backing it up. And actually, I'm going to quote somebody on this recently in a conversation. Um, I was told more or less something along the lines of like, you need to put your money where your truth is. And that one burns a little bit. I liked it because it's kind of even a more accurate twist on the put your money where your mouth is. Because we don't necessarily have to be running our mouth to not be putting our money where our truth is. If we say we want something out of life, if we think we want something out of life, if we have an aspiration, whether it be public or private, if we're not working towards it, there's something wrong there. Either you don't really want it, or you're making too many excuses. You're not getting out there and putting in the elbow grease that is needed to get there. And this is the thing, is like what we want out of life doesn't come to us. We go to it. Like we can create an environment that will more likely attract that thing to us, but we still have to create that environment. There's work involved somewhere. It doesn't just one day you wake up and blessings are raining down from the heavens on you. You have to put yourself in a position where you're making it known what you want and working towards it and making yourself compatible with that thing that you want. And I wasn't doing that, or not to the level that I could have been or should have been. And it was a little humbling because I had not realized how much that applied to me, that I had gotten very comfortable with being uncomfortable, that I had become very comfortable with being miserable, and that in my head, for some ridiculous reason, my brain was thinking it's more miserable to go out there and well, what kind of job am I going to get? Am I going to get the job that I want? Am I going to have pain in the ass coworkers? Am I going to be able to support myself financially? And where am I going to, what's my new living situation going to be? And basically sitting there and like self-sabotaging mentally with all these what ifs and possibilities and things like that, and discouraging myself from going out and pursuing what I really wanted. So then I had to explore, should I even be saying that I want it, or would it be more accurate to say it would be really nice to have a new job in a new place? Because if I say I want it, if I desire it, the implication is going to be there that I desire it enough to go get it. If I say I want a donut, I'm going to go get me a stinking donut. But if I say I want a new job, how much effort am I going to put into it? Same thing with dreams and things that we would like to have. But do we really want it if we're not putting in the effort? I made excuses for all of, and this is actually a perfect example, for all of 2021. I wanted to get this YouTube channel started up. And I kept giving myself the excuse of, well, your laptop can't stream. It's old. It was a, $300 computer back in like 2008. It's not going to handle streaming. It is slow as molasses in January, so I can't start my YouTube channel until I can get a better computer. And then one day it just hit me. I can do all that from my phone. Like maybe I can't stream as well, but I can record videos. I don't have to have that computer yet. I just have to start. Once I start, I can gain momentum. But if I never start because I'm sitting there making excuses, it's never going to happen. Just got to start. Just got to get the momentum going. Do something. Get out there and start working for what you want, because it's until you have at least yourself in an alignment, in a position where the things that you want are going to attract you because you're vibrating in that frequency and you are prepared for it, you're not going to get it. It's always going to be outside of your grasp. If you just stand there and look over there and say, I want that thing, but I'm not going to go walk over and pick it up, or that blessing falling down from the sky, it'd be nice if it zoomed itself over here, but I'm not going to go position myself underneath of it so that I am in the appropriate position that when it falls, I can catch it. There's action that has to take place. And I feel like it's really, on some levels, it's very embarrassing. And I feel like this is why not a lot of people tattle on themselves often enough. It's a relatable thing. I know I'm not the only person that's had a realization like this and feels like They should have seen it so much sooner. I feel like this is something I should have figured out in high school. Some of us on this experience planet really like to experience difficulty, so we get some darn good lessons in, I guess, before we start figuring things out. I know I'm not the only one. So if you're in that boat, pick up an oar and let's start paddling, because it's time to move in a direction. We got to get some movement going. And I find it kind of funny, really, and we have to laugh at ourselves when stuff like this happens. You know, don't go banging your head against a wall. Don't go beating yourself up. Take a minute and laugh about it. And then take a minute and think about how many extra lessons you learned along the way that you wouldn't have learned if you'd figured it out in high school. It's one of those things that this is a very big part of why I wanted to start this channel in the first place, is because I know there are other people that can relate. I've spent my whole life pretty much like a bull in a china shop and wondering why everything always crashes down around me. China shop probably isn't the place for me. Maybe instead of headbutting everything, maybe that would help too. Ditch that habit. But I think it's funny because this whole process has been to document realistically where I've been and where I'm going and all the bumps and bruises and aha moments and realizations that I get along the way, because it's relatable. And this is one of the reasons that I finally decided I needed to just start doing this from my phone, because again, it's relatable. And I didn't want it to be something super polished and presented as, I'm some kind of expert, because I'm not. And most of us aren't. We have some weird little lessons we learn along the way that we feel like we learned way later than we should have. Or it seems like they should have been super obvious to us. Things that maybe we've even like given advice to friends about, of like, hey, I think maybe you're a little too comfortable being unhappy here, and that you've spent the last 3 months complaining about this thing. Maybe you should do something different. Now, if you want something to change in your life, you kind of got to change some things about your life. Novel concept. Not one that I had really figured out. I mean, I had, but there's those different levels of where you know things in your head. You've heard it before, you can repeat it even, but you don't really get it until you get it. Welcome to life. It's the learning planet for a reason. And I think it's interesting that the more that we can accept that this is a learning experience, that this is nothing but accumulated experiences, whether they're good, bad, and different, you can't really, they're experiences. And everything kind of works out the way it's supposed to in the end. I mean, you can resist it, you can mess some stuff up, but in the end, the soul is experiencing. But it really gives you the opportunity to shift your perspective and to view it as a really cool experience. You know, yeah, I spent a year screwing around, worried about everything but the action. I've wrapped my head around this thing in every angle, direction that I possibly could. Looked at it like a Rubik's Cube. I picked it up, I twisted it, I turned it, I looked at it from every angle. Got that part. Didn't get the action part. But recognizing that this is all about experiences and lessons learned and new perspectives gained, I can have gratitude for that. And I think gratitude is a really important thing that we need to have a lot more of in our experience in this life. It's so easy to just kind of get sucked into that, I just went off this rock type thing. It's all craziness here. Just send me somewhere where everything's peaceful and happy. But this is a really cool experience when you really start to think about it. When you really look at yourself and you really look at your life and how you've developed and grown and learned. It's a very unique experience to have. And I think it deserves some gratitude for the lessons we've learned, for the experiences we've had. They shape us into individuals who can do what our mission is here to do. What our mission to do is. I don't know, I worded that funny, but you get what I'm saying. Um, there's got to be a reason why it took me that long to figure it out. Don't know what it is yet, but I would guess probably in the next 5 or 10 years, I'll be able to look back at it and say, oh, that's what that was about. I had to have these experiences, everything builds on itself. And one of these years I'm going to figure out exactly why I learned so late, because I had to figure it out. Maybe it'll stick better because I had to work to figure it out. I had to do it wrong a whole lot of times to finally get it right. Maybe that's it. I don't know. We'll see. But I think that coming back to a place of gratitude is very helpful because it allows you to stay out of the place of frustration with yourself, frustration with how things work down here on this planet. It gives us a much more optimistic way of interacting in this world. And really, if we're being honest, being here at this point in time, seeing how consciousness is developing and evolving, it's really an honor to be here at this point in time. We shouldn't be wanting to escape off this planet, run to the next one. This is cool. Might not always be the most comfortable, but we're getting to learn and experience some cool stuff, and we're getting to witness history as it's playing out. You can't really beat that. So, anyway, if you're there in the same boat with me, like I said, pick up an oar. Let's start paddling. Let's get some action. Put our money where our truth is. I like that one. I really like that one. And don't be afraid of tattling on yourself. When you have something that you learned, something that you realized, I think it would be helpful if more people did that. And maybe don't blast it out there to the whole world, but don't keep it a secret like it's something you're ashamed of. These are experiences and lessons, and it's what we came here to do. We came here to learn. And we didn't come here to hoard our knowledge. We didn't come here to hoard what our experiences and lessons were. There are people who can avoid some of the things that we went through just by us telling them, so that they know to avoid them. So don't be stingy with your knowledge, and tattle on yourselves every once in a while. Somebody else needs to know that they're not the only person in the boat. Alrighty. Well, I think that'll do it for tonight. I am sure there will be many more episodes of the Tattle Time. That may just become a thing in the future. I may just have to have a regularly scheduled Tattle Time or something like that. I think it might be useful. Or at least, if nothing else, humorous. You know. But, alright. Well, I love you guys. Thanks for listening. And I will catch you next time. Have a good one.